on the webinar of OKR. We'll wait for 2 more minutes to start to other participants to join. Please bear with us for next 2 minutes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ashlesha, and it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Mr. Anup Ramchandran, who will be joining us today in the live webinar. Anup is a seasoned professional in the field of human resource with an impressive 26 years of experience across various sectors, including finance, FMCG, and manufacturing. His contribution to the organizational strategy and his ability to drive top line and bottom line profitability have been exceptional. Anup has worked with the companies in the banking, retail, FMCG, and manufacturing sectors, actively shaping their strategic directions. His deep understanding of these industries have been instrumental in achieving success for the organization he has worked with. Anup's accomplishments have been recognized on the national level as he was amongst the top 100 HR professional in India. Additionally, he led the Bajaj Auto Finance to win the prestigious Gallup Great Place Award to Work, a testament to his commitment for creating a positive work culture. Anup is an alumnus of esteemed Symbiosis Institute of Business Management. We truly privileged to have Anup with us today, and I have no doubt that his wealth of knowledge and expertise will enrich our discussions. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Anup as he shares his valuable insight with us in this webinar. I welcome Mr. Anup Ramchandran. I hand over this mic to Anup now.
Thanks, Athlesha. So I'm going to talk about a few of the contents that you can see very clearly in the slide. I'll speak about what is OKR, what are the benefits, etc. How do we align the OKR with the business strategy that we are going to build in the organization? We are going to speak about how to measure success by using actionable OKRs. Why is cross-functional collaboration necessary in framing OKRs? We'll dwell a bit in terms of the benefits of OKR. And what is also very necessary is that is there a difference between an OKR and a KRA KPI? Should we discontinue any one of them, or can we use both of them in tandem? And then I'll also speak about why the performance fails in many organizations. Before we close the session, we'll give you a small peek view into Catalyst, a real-time business performance management solution, which actually uses all the concepts of OKR and KPI KRA to build goals for the organization, department, and individuals. So what does OKR stand for? Very clearly, objective, O, and KR is the key results. So it's actually a collaborative goal setting process of setting ambitious goals at the company level, and it also will ensure that the results are measurable. It can actually track all the progress. It creates a lot of alignment because OKR is created along with the teams, along with all the internal customers, and it improves encouragement and it encourages engagement around all the measurable goals across all the levels in the organization. So, in fact, it also helps in a lot of team building and alignment across various functions in the organization. Something more. Now, OKR can be of three types. It can either be a operational, aspirational OKR. OKR can also bring in a lot of commitment. So we call it as a committed OKR. OKR also results in a lot of learning. So, for example, if I were to say that I want to reduce the carbon footprint by 40%, so that's an aspirational OKR. If I were to say that I want to double up I want to be among the top three players in my industry. Okay, so that's aspirational, or you can also call it as a committed OKR. In this entire journey of OKR, there is also a learning for all the people, and hence we say that OKRs can be of three types. Now, we can say that OKR starts with O, K, and R. So, O is objective, that is what you want to achieve, and KR is the key result. So, how you want to achieve the objective that you have set. So OKR is actually a guiding principle. It's a philosophy, and that is why it's very, very necessary to make it so very aspirational and motivating for people that it should touch their soul. Let me give you an example of an OKR. Say, suppose one objective is to create the lowest carbon footprint in the industry. Now, you see, this is actually aspirational. I want to create the lowest carbon footprint in the industry. Now, how are you going to do that? So, then we are talking about the K and R aspect of it. So, first, the supply chain and the shipping infrastructure will ensure 100% of zero wastage. Secondly, to ensure that there is a discipline to reduce the carbon footprint, I will pay 100% carbon offset for calculated carbon dioxide emissions. Third key result is 25% of the material is compostable, and fourth, 75% of the material is biodegradable. So this is how the OKR is built. Objective, a very strong objective, and how you are going to achieve that objective is actually a key result. Let me give you now an example of what is a KPI. Say, let me give an example of a museum. That's what that comes to my mind actually now. So one KPI, I mean, if you look at any KPI for a museum, the museum runs on two things. One is if there is attendance, and second, if there is donations. So I will have two KPIs or two ongoing metrics. One is towards attendance and one is towards donations. They collect the data on how many visitors that will come in through the door and how many people after they come in, they will make a donation. That is how the museum actually runs. Now, let me give you an example of OKR. Now, this as a KPI is not so very motivating and invigorating. The same thing, let me actually speak in a OKR language. How do I set a very motivating objective? So here, the same museum example. I am saying museum wants to be more relevant to the community. Now, see, this is actually very, very high on commitment, and it actually touches the soul. Museum wants to be more relevant to the community. So this is an objective. It touches the soul. And from the objective, I'm going to prepare the key results. That is, how do I grow the local monthly visitor by 30% in the next quarter? Now, this is a key result, and here the numbers are extremely critical. I want to grow by 30% in the next quarter. One more activity in key result, I am going to host two community events. So again, 30% and two. are all very quantifiable targets actually. So an OKR not only sets a very strong and powerful objective, it also sets from the objective how you are going to achieve the objective is through measurable and quantifiable KPIs. That's 30% next quarter and two community events. Okay. So, in short, that's what I said. OKR is actually a KPI with a soul. Not too much of a difference, but it is just that a OKR actually stirs your heart. And hence, people are much more committed, they are much more willing to achieve that particular KPI. And hence, people who set a particular OKR for an organization, in all likelihood, the entire OKR or the KPI becomes extremely successful and the organization is able to achieve all its goals. Let's talk about now. We spoke about what is an OKR, but how are we going to link the entire OKR to the business strategy? Here, let's talk about Michael Porter. What does he say as to what strategy is? It's a unique, valuable position that you are creating, a USP that you are creating for the organization, keeping in mind a lot of other activities. So, for example, if you were to remember, I'll give you two very good examples of strategy. One example is of Honda. If you remember Honda, many years ago, it came out with a lot of two stroke motorcycles. Now, two stroke motorcycles create a lot of pollution in the environment, and hence, from a strategy perspective, the OKR, the objective for Honda was I want to give clean green energy to the world. So that's their objective. How do they do that? First is by stopping the stopping the two stroke engines and introducing the four stroke engines. So that is a key result area that we have actually done for Honda. I'll give you one more example of ITC. Now, ITC many years ago was known only for cigarettes and tobacco. But since the last 10 to 15 years, they have actually graduated into health. So they said that I am already contributing a lot towards uh, the health of the people, bad health of the people, and hence I want to contribute towards the good health of the people. And hence they have got into a lot of healthy juices. So there is a shift, and that is how OKR is extremely positive. After the OKR, you have identified what are the key results that you need to do. So Honda, from a perspective of manufacturing four-stroke vehicles, they changed their entire assembly line into four-stroke assembly lines. That's one objective, one key result. Second key result is that basically I want to open as many plants as possible. I want to create a lot of advertisements, marketing buzz about four-stroke, about clean fuel, etc. So that's one more key result that Honda created. So this is how we are going to do. This is what is how you are going to align the OKR with the strategy. Let's go to the next one. How do you now bring the alignment between an OKR and a strategy? So the first, all of you will be knowing, is that organization has to set a long range plan, a business strategy for 3 to 5 years. And you have to keep in mind five things. First is supplier. How do I manage the supplier power? How do I manage the buyer power? What are the threat of new entries? How do I manage that? How will I manage the threat of substitution? And how will I take care of all the competitive rivalries? So, basis this, you prepare a long range business strategy. And from the long range business strategy, prepare only a business objective for first year, not for all the 5 years. So after you have prepared the objective, now this is when I'm talking about OKR, this is the O part of it, the objective part of it. From the objective of 1 year, you want to say achieve whatever you want to achieve. You set most important key result area and KPIs for the organization level. Only after you set it at the organization level is when you actually dovetail the department KPIs to the company KPIs, and then you also dovetail the individual KPIs to the department KPIs. After you have set all the KPIs, then you plug in all the achievements against the targets, and then you have to review it very regularly. The objective of a OKR or even of a KPI is that the more rigorously you review the performance, the more success you will get in the entire business performance management solution. So, having said that, uh, Aslesha, can I
Yeah,
actually request for a okay?
yeah. We already had a poll while we speak.
Okay, we already had a poll. Oh, great. Now, let's talk about the second part, which is how do you measure the success with actionable OKRs? The most important is start with the company objectives. All of us would have heard begin with the end in mind. So the company objectives will only be the end outcome. Any objective which actually or the targets that can be achieved at the department or the individual level should never form part of the company scorecard. So, for example, the company objectives will be I want to achieve overall country sales by this much, not at a zonal level or a state level. Okay. I want to improve the overall employee engagement levels in the organization. So, you don't have to say, I want to reduce the attrition level because that will actually form a part of the scorecard of the HOD. So once you start with the company objectives, then you go and you cascade to the organization goals. You identify not more than 6 to 7 actionables at the company, department, and individual levels. Anything more than 7 to 8, anything more than 8 is actually not very important. A ballpark, what you can do is that anything which has a weightage of less than 5 is actually not a very important KPI for you. So don't use that. After you have identified the critical actionables, ensure that each actionable is quantifiable. You have to put a number to it, you have to put a target, you have to put a date to it, you have to put a percentage of achievement to it. After you have done that, allocate a weightage for each and every KPI basis the importance. So more the importance, the higher will be the weightage for the particular KPI. After you have done that across all the levels at company, department, individual levels, and you have dovetailed all of them to the company goals, then you ensure that the achievements are put so that there is a meaningful and regular performance review. Now, most organizations fail because they don't conduct the performance reviews. They think that if the system is up and running, then everything should be up. But unless and until people key in all their achievements in a very disciplined manner, accurate, honest manner, the entire process of measuring performance at a business, department, individual level fails. After you have done that, there should be a performance discussion because the performance discussion is not a negotiation about what ratings people should get, but it is more of a discussion in terms of how to add value. Finally, all HR people dread the concept of bell curving normalization. This is a concept that nobody likes. But if you actually use a software, there is no need for doing a normalization or a bell curving because whatever a person has achieved, the system will exactly calculate that and give it. So if you follow this particular process, this is how you can set the OKRs and the KRA KPIs for the organization. Now we are talking about one more concept as to why cross-functional collaboration is needed. Now, this is where an OKR scores heavily over a KPI KRA system because a KRA KPI system, individuals set their own targets without taking views of the internal stakeholders. For example, I said the individual goals are myopic, they consult at best their line manager. Across all softwares, everything, individuals set their targets, whether right or not, they send it to the line manager approves it or rejects it. There is no role that a stakeholder ever plays. Whereas in the case of OKR, when you are building the objective for the organization, when you are actually building the key results for the organization, it is a culmination of all the department heads, all the HR, external stakeholders, external consultants who come in and say, hey, this particular goal for the organization is extremely important for us, and that becomes the objective. From there, they identify what are the key result areas, KPIs for the organization, everybody together. The advantage is if suppose one particular department he sets about say four or five particular KPIs, the stakeholders will say, hey, this does not address my particular issue, and hence why don't you add this also into your KPI? If a target has been taken by a particular individual, the stakeholder will say, no, I don't think this target is aggressive enough. This does not benefit me as a stakeholder. You need to take a higher target. So, whatever targets, the objective, key results, the KRS, KPIs that are developed actually is extremely strong and robust only if you have a collaborative approach. You involve everybody. Third, department goals are not aligned and lack synergy. There is a non delivery to those stakeholders if you do not have a collaborative approach. And finally, if you do not have a collaborative approach, the entire group exercise of involving all the stakeholders that also never comes true. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share about this. Let's go more in terms of what is the benefit of a OKR. First, it brings a lot of focus because all the stakeholders, all the department heads, the HR heads, and everybody, they say that, okay, this is the objective for the organization. These are the key results wherein all of us need to focus. And hence, they start preparing their key results or the KPIs, etc. Basis what is important for the organization. There are certain softwares that are available that actually ensure that everybody is able to see the organization KRAs and the KPIs, etc., the goals of the organization, and accordingly they set the goals for the organization. So this is focus. Second is alignment. Only those goals are set, only those KRAs, etc., are set, targets are set, which are extremely relevant for the organization. Those key results are not set which are not relevant for the other stakeholders, and hence we talk about alignment. Third is commitment, because it is not only me who's setting the key results for myself. I'm a party to setting the key results for the organization. I'm party to setting the objective for the organization. And hence my commitment level in ensuring that the organization achieves its objectives and its key results is extremely high. And hence we say that the commitment levels are high. Fourth, we are able to track, because when the objective and the key results of the company are set, we identify the key results and the KPIs for the company. Keeping that objective and the key results of the company in mind, all the department heads and all the individuals, they set their KRAs and their KPIs. And hence, tracking becomes extremely important. Of course, you have a software, the tracking becomes even faster and more accurate. There is a quotient of stretch that is there, because when somebody says he puts a particular key result for himself, the other stakeholder saying, hey, this is not right, this is not stretched enough, you need to take this particular thing, then only I as an internal customer will get benefited. So the entire concept of stretch comes very well. So everybody is able to take stretch but realistic goals. Overall, all the department heads, the MD of the company, everybody is coming together to find out what is the objective of the company, what will drive them, what are the key results, and all the department goals, etc., are also discussed with all the stakeholders. And hence, There is a skin in the game for each and every stakeholder, and that actually builds a camaraderie, a teamwork in the organization. We are talking about now what is the difference, because we have spoken so much about KRAs, and now we are going to speak about KPIs also. So is there a difference at all between KRAs and KPIs? Yes, there is. So OKR actually stands for objective and key result. KPI stands for key performance indicator. Okay, but OKR is action oriented goals and measures, whereas KPI is a number. I am not over here saying that KPI is not good. I'll come to that later. Third, OKR future, it's more future focused. It gives a direction to the people. It's aspirational. People are committed to it. Whereas KPIs could be a result or a leading indicator. For an organization who has already set in a lot of KPIs, targets, etc., the KPI methodology can also be very, very good. But if you're setting the goals for the first time for the organization, then you should use the approach of an OKR. Start with the objective for the organization, the key results, and then dovetail it down to the department and the individual level. But if you already have all the KPIs running, etc., you should always visit the KPIs or the at the organization level and say, hey, is this objective good enough? Fourth, OKR is aggressive and bold. KPI, it monitors a very steady state. It provides benchmarks. Okay, last year I did this much, now I'm going to do this much, etc. It prompts a very specific action. Finally, OKR, it's quarterly, yearly, etc., and it changes periodically. Whereas KPI is ongoing. So that means that once you set the KPIs or the key result areas, then the targets only keep on changing. The KPIs need not change for month and month. More about OKR KPIs. OKR is prepared keeping in mind the organization key objectives, whereas KPI is prepared keeping in mind the individual requirements. OKR is collaborative in nature and KPI is not collaborative. OKR is audacious, has purpose, touches your soul, whereas KPI actually tracks your performance against target. Okay, so uh, you can see one more poll over here. I would request all of you to respond to that particular poll. So, can you build a good OKR without a cross functional collaboration? Now, you have the poll. Please respond to the poll, and it will actually give us a very clear understanding whether we are all going in the right direction. Okay, so you can say, can you build a good OKR without cross functional collaboration? You can say yes, and then you select the button. You can say no, and you can select the button, or you're not very, very sure. You can say maybe. Request you to respond to this, all of you. Okay, we have got about 5 more seconds to do this. Great. So I have got a good amount of responses. Uh, so we have responses, but the correct answer is that yes, if you really want to build a very strong OKR, you need to involve all other people, all stakeholders to build a very strong OKR. Okay, we have seen this slide. Let's go to the next. Okay, now we are talking about what is the difference between an OKR and a KRA KPI. Can we use best of both the worlds? So advantage of a KRA KPI over OKR, it's very tried and tested. People have been using that for a very long time. OKR is a new concept. Advantage of OKR over KPI, it starts with the main objective and hence brings a very strong purpose to all the stakeholders. That's the advantage of OKR. Second advantage of KRA KPI, easy to build the goal sheets as the business goals and the budgets already exist. OKR advantage, high alignment and teamwork. So we build with the organization, the leadership, we build this entire OKI, we build the objective for the organization, we build the key results for the organization. We also dovetail all the department and the individual goals to the organization. Okay, so that's the advantage of an OKR. KRA KPI easy to replicate from last year. You just have to copy most of the KRS KPIs. Some things which are not relevant, you replace it with the new ones. Whereas in the case of OKR, it's accurate goal sheets as all stakeholders together design it. There is no question that a person says, no, I don't agree with this particular KRA KPIs of mine. So how can we use the advantages of both the OKR and the KPI, KRA KPI, to create a very successful business performance management system? First, you sit with the leadership team. So I mentioned we help the team sit together, including external experts, and then we identify a very compelling objective for the organization. From these compelling objectives for the organization, we actually prepare the top 6 7 KRAs KPIs at the company level, and then we also dovetail it down to the department and then the individual levels, by which we ensure that only the relevant KRAs and KPIs and the targets etc. are set and is agreeable to everybody, and then people also sign off their actual individual scorecards. Then we set very clear, measurable targets on a monthly and quarterly basis. There are organizations who say, no, I will evaluate only 6 monthly or an annual basis. But the problem is, after the 6 months are over, the first 5 6 months, if a person does not achieve that, 6 months has got wasted. And that is the reason having a software is extremely critical, because it helps you measure the performance on a monthly basis. 1 month the person has not performed, immediately second month the corrective action is taken, and then the performance improves. We also identify ways to get the accurate data, build a culture of performance through training, because performance is not only about delivering, it's also about a culture. So that is what we create. We review performance regularly, so it's extremely critical for you to do that. You can always review performance only through softwares, because softwares helps you calculate everything in matter of seconds. It's necessary to train the managers also to conduct the review, because many organizations people don't leave organization, they leave their managers, and most of them people leave because the review has not happened very well. So review has to be done very very carefully. The managers have to be trained how to conduct a particular review. It's not a negotiation of ratings, it's to tell a person as to how performance can be improved. And finally, whenever the business demands, we should change the KRAs and KPIs as per the need of the organization. Now, why does an organization fail primarily? So, first, goals are not set monthly. Second, goals are not quantifiable. They say he has to do better, he has to do well. No, unless and until it's numbers, you cannot quantify it. Third, there's a lack of belief that what gets measured gets delivered. So unless and until you believe this philosophy that what gets measured will get delivered, and we have seen it subsequently that the moment a person's performance is down and everybody can see his performance, automatically the person starts improving better. So what gets measured gets delivered. Achievements are not entered regularly. So even if there are systems which has all the targets etc. are entered, but if people do not enter the achievements, there is no outcome that comes, and hence the entire system fails. There is no push from the leadership. Leadership is not bothered whether the entries are happening on a regular basis or not. So leadership thrust has to be there. It has to be linked to all the R&R, because people have to feel that okay, this particular performance of mine will result in me getting something from the organization in terms of growth or whatever it is. Finally, organizations who don't go for digitization, it's extremely difficult to measure the performance of each and every individual honestly, correctly over a period of time. You cannot do a lot of analysis etc. So digitization is the only way. Finally, wrong targets and achievements, that means bad in and bad out. So if you put wrong targets, if you put in wrong achievements, system will only capture what is wrong, what is the target and what is the achievement, and hence you will not be able to do that. Now again, I would request for one more poll. that comes. Okay, so can you use the benefits of OKR and KRA KPI in setting a successful performance management system in your organization? So that means, can you use both of them in tandem? Yes or no? If it's a yes, select the button next to the yes. If it's a no, select the button next to no. Maybe you can select the button there. We have about say 20 seconds for you to for you to give your answers. Waiting for them. Oh wow, so fantastic. Almost 90% of the population have said yes, and the balance have said maybe. So that's a very important thing. OKRs and KRA's KPI should always be used in tandem. You should use the OKR philosophy to set the organization objective, and then the KRAs etc. at the key results at the organization level, and then you should also use all the advantages of KRAs and KPIs in setting it for the organization and dovetailing it to department and individual levels. Going forward, so how does Catalyst integrate OKR philosophy with KPI? So we'll just speak something about Catalyst, and after that, I will ask Aslesha to run a small video for you. Now, Catalyst is a particular product. It's a real-time business performance management solution where we help organization set their objective as per the OKR philosophy, set the key results, and after that, each and every department, individuals, etc., will be able to see the overall organization objective, key results, and they will be able to set only those key results and KRs and KPIs which are relevant to the organization. So this gives you attractive dashboards and reports in a matter of seconds. It has got excellent tools in terms of if you want to allocate tasks to people, you can do that. You can measure performance on a monthly basis, and then you can see YTD performance, all of them. So you can see as to who's performing, who's not performing. You can see department wise, individual wise. You can see trends. You can see which KPIs, KRAs are doing well, which are not doing well, etc. We also link this entire Catalyst to your internal systems by way of APIs by which minimum human intervention is done. So this particular Catalyst is a tool that's going on very well. It's in AWS cloud. It has got the highest level of security. It is a SaaS platform. That's something about KPI, about Catalyst. If you want to know more about Catalyst, go and visit our website catalyst.co.in, or you can go into phiedge.co.in to actually know more about Catalyst, and then you can reach out to us. But the process that we follow in Catalyst is, first we set the strategic goal workshop we do for all the organization to set the objective. We identify the company KRA KPIs, and then we link it to all the HODs, the department KRAs KPIs. We also help all the individuals, the departments, through way of training as to how to set KRAs and KPIs and how to dovetail them. All the data in terms of targets and achievements are actually put in the system, and a matter of real time you get all the dashboards for everybody. So that means the CEO can see the performance for each and every individual on a real time basis. The department heads can see basically for themselves on their and for their team. They can allocate as many tasks as possible and keep a track of tasks as to what has happened and what is not happened. So after this, I will request Aslesha to actually just go and play a particular video on Catalyst.
Today's tough times demands business to re-look at business strategy and right size. Eliminate non-value added activities and take quick and well-analyzed decisions. However, not much advice available on business strategy, including right sizing. Goals are not quantifiable and not aligned with business growth. Data is scattered and not authenticated. No fun way to portray performance digitally and analyze. Review feedback never captured and worked on. Hey, we get it. Catalyst Digital Intelligence Solution helps link company and individual goals across levels. Collate data from all sources through simple integrators. Portrays performance data through exciting dashboards. Capture feedback during reviews, and reports already customized for you. All of this, while our experts guide you with business strategy through organization design and right sizing. Creating critical goals. Building accountability and performance culture. Analyze and improve business performance. Catalyst, a business intelligence solution, self-service and easy to use. Just imagine the growth of your company when you don't have to deal with these petty issues.
Thank you so much. A quick poll by Aslesha. So after this, we'll just have a very quick Q&A session. Any doubts, etc. Uh, our team will be very happy to take those questions, and I'll be extremely happy to answer those questions to the best of my ability. We have about 20 more seconds for you to go through this. Do you think Catalyst will be a useful tool for your organization? Primarily because we use the concepts of OKR, we marry the OKR with the KRA KPI, we dovetail the organization, department, and goals. Oh, great, I'm extremely happy. So time for Q&A. Any questions? I'll be more than happy to answer them. So you can go into your left-hand side and you can go into Q, and then you have a question. You can press that and then you can ask any of the questions. Anybody. So I will, yes. So there are two questions that have come to me. Uh, One is with regard to Catalyst as a particular tool. Yes, it's in SaaS platform. It's in AWS, and we are using it for many MNCs. So there we measure uh, performance at the company, department, individual levels, and that's how we track it. The second question is in terms of how are you going to use the OKR concept in your Catalyst? So we are not only a software company, we are a people consulting and a tech company, and hence we actually consult various organizations in terms of helping them set their OKRs. After we set the OKRs for them at the company level, we set the key results for them, we set the goals, targets, etc. for them at the company level, and then we also dovetail them to the department and then to the individual level through multiple workshops. So then people are extremely clear and they are aligned with the particular organization goal, and hence this entire process is extremely successful for them. Okay. Third question I have is in terms of task management. Okay, great. So I'm glad you asked this particular question. See, because PMS is where targets are set and people have only they respond to those particular targets. But a task management is something inside Catalyst only, where a person can actually set, or a line manager can allocate tasks to any member in his team with a particular deadline, and the individual, when he has completed his task, can actually respond on that entire task management. If you want to know more about task management, request you to ask for a demo, and we'll be more than happy to actually give you a demo. That's all from my side. Uh, Thank you. Have a great day. Bye bye. Aslesha?
Yeah, thank you all for joining it. In case of any queries, please visit our websites or you can write to us. Thank you so much. I'm ending the meeting for everyone.